All right, so we took Amara, my daughter, to the dentist a few weeks ago, pediatric dentist. So it's a dentist. For those of you who don't know, a dentist that's only for kids. So we were there. We walked through. We're going back to her room to get her cleaning, and they have like a bigger room that's like they have smaller rooms like off to the side, and there's a big like open area right in the middle of the practice where they just have a bunch of dental chairs set up, and there was like 4 or 5 people getting their like cleanings done, like just sort of in the middle of this big open room. So we're in our room, we're sitting, we're watching, waiting for the dentist to come in. So, people watching a little bit. And one of the kids, quote unquote kids, who was getting his teeth cleaned, had a full ass forearm tattoo. And this is a pediatric dentist. So you would only go to a pediatric dentist if you were a child, right? Or a teenager, and we were listening to the conversation a little bit, like I said, people watching, eavesdropping a little bit. And he mentioned that he was a sophomore in high school with a full ass forearm tattoo.
Whoa.
So, my
That's
wife
a
and
hard-ass sophomore.
my wife and I both called it out later in the day. We were like, oh, did you see that kid who had that forearm tattoo? And he was talking about how he was a sophomore in high school. And then it was like then my brain went, but it's 2025. Does it really, are tattoos still like a big deal? Like if you can, like, is it something where people are like, oh, I'm going to look at you differently because you have a tattoo? Do you guys, so that's what I wanted to just talk about. Do you guys think that, first of all, does that shock you that there was a potentially 15 or 16-year-old with a full tattoo, and then like are tattoos still like this taboo thing? Not taboo, but this sort of notable thing in your eyes. Like, when you see a tattoo, is it still something where you say, oh, that person has a tattoo? Or since we're in 2025, everybody has tattoos. Have you been sort of desensitized to it?
Wait. Before we get to that comment.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what tattoo it was?
It was Roman numerals. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
In high school?
Yeah.
High school kid with Roman numeral tattoos.
On his forearm, yeah.
And it was huge? Like, what was the size?
Yeah, big
Like,
enough for us to see it from about 40 feet away.
Was that the only tattoo you
that
had?
we could see? Yeah,
That you could see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's oh my goodness.
Okay, you guys can't see Luis, but
yeah,
that's a pretty big eye roll going on.
I mean, it's one of those things that, like, so you're asking, is it a big thing? Nowadays, tattoos are put on for like different reasons, right? So I don't think it's as big, but I went to high school where there was this rock band, right? Very popular. I don't know if you were around when they were there, but there was a sophomore who got permission to get a tattoo from his parents. They took him and everything. But this kid, like, at the age of 4, started drumming, and all he did was like played Guns N' Roses. So it was a Guns N' Roses tattoo. And I'm like, that makes sense. They thought about it. There's a thought process behind this. Parents gave permission. And it's like, parents probably listened to that music their entire life too. So I'm like, it's significant, right? Roman tattoo or Roman numeral tattoos nowadays, like.
So for you, it's more of
your
the
tattoo better have
idea.
meaning.
Yeah. So the idea of a teenager with a tattoo isn't something that is.
No, because there
shocking.
again, I've seen the exceptions or the reasoning why, and it's the same thing. Like, so you said everyone has everyone has tattoos, right?
Yeah.
Do you have tattoos?
I do have. I have a tattoo. Yes.
Okay, I have a tattoo as well. Matt,
None.
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I've known Matt for years. Matt's always talked about, I don't mean to speak to you like you're not in the room, but you've always wanted a tattoo, or you've liked the idea of tattoos. Like, it's not like you're opposed to them. It just hasn't happened yet, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to, I'm trying to get my arms to look a little bit nicer because I want to be like, hey, look at my cool tattoo. And unfortunately, I'm pale as a ghost when you go above my sleeves. No, I think for me, like, so when you told that story just now, I was like, oh, one of the guys doing the cleaning had a tattoo. Well, that's who cares?
Who cares?
And he was like, it's a kid. Oh, it's a high school kid?
Yeah.
But you know what, though? Like, to your question of, dude, are tattoos even really that big of a deal anymore? I don't think so. I mean, like, in all honesty, I like that we're getting to that point to where it's like your body your body is your body. Do with it as you want. Don't sit here and worry about what anyone else says. If you're like, hey, this looks really cool and I want to do it, do it. Now, when I say that, like the people that like give me like the most like heebie-jeebies are the ones who get like the like knots in their head or like
implants.
Yeah. Hey, I'm like that. It and it's more so it creeps me out because I'm like I am like, oh my gosh, it's like, but do you? That's awesome. If you like it, that is all that matters. The Roman numeral tattoos, maybe it means something, maybe it means nothing.
Yeah,
I think that's cool. Wild that a teen got it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are we thinking that, like, to Luis's point, is it something where you would automatically assume that kid just has really progressive parents who care enough to take him to the dentist, but also allow him to get a tattoo? So it's like, are we considering his parents super progressive, or are we at a point in time where you don't necessarily even need to be progressive to let your kid get a tattoo? It's just because it's so commonplace in society.
Yeah, I think we're at a place where you don't need to be super progressive. Okay. It's just, hey, Dad, I want to get a tattoo. Okay. Or Mom or Dad, I want to get a tattoo. Okay, cool.
You just think that as we're like, that's something where maybe Gen X or Boomers would have had a problem with it.
Oh yeah.
But millennials having teenage kids now are gonna be just more chill with it, just because of the generation.
I don't want to set like an age limit on it. Like, hey, high school, you're trying to invent yourself. You're trying to be like, how do I like make people think I'm really cool? And any kid who had a tattoo in high school, like to me was like, dang, that kid's hard.
Yeah. Exactly. But that doesn't necessarily mean that now.
Doesn't mean that at all now. But yeah, like, hey man, you're 16. Yeah, I think it's like 16 or 17 is when you don't need a permission slip, or is it 18?
I'm pretty sure it's still 18. Yeah.
18. Okay. Yeah. But you're in your teens. As long as you understand that, like, it's gonna be with you forever.
Yeah.
Or you could get removed, whatever. But hey, you want to do it? You're 16. Meh. Now, my 5-year-old is like, hey, Dad, I want to get it. No.
Yeah.
Come back to me in 11 years. We'll consider it then.
That's just ridiculous. I mean, obviously, because you don't even have, your skin isn't even when you're 16, you look the way, you stop growing eventually. So, but when you're in middle school, you're not going to have the same skin that you have. Well, listen, guys, I know you have the same skin. It's not going to be as fully developed as it will be when you're 15 or 16. But Luis, you were shaking your head a little bit when we mentioned, like, you don't have to be progressive to let a teenager get a tattoo. You disagree with that?
I mean, it's all about maturity, right? So as long as they've had the conversation, the reasoning why, I definitely agree with the parents. Like, they had that, right? I mean,
that's the question though. Like, is that something where, again, or is it so commonplace now that it's like, it's not a big deal? Like, you don't need to turn it into a big thing,
It is commonplace, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to affect you further down the line. So, like, if you want to get a tattoo and you don't think about it, it does. It does.
You still think it does in 2025? That's what I'm ultimately getting at. I don't think tattoos are as taboo as they were 30, 40 years ago. I don't think a tattoo, as long as it's nothing, like, offensive or, shocking, that it's going to stop you from getting a job. Like, some companies might not want you to have face tattoos, but a forearm tattoo that can easily be covered with a shirt, like, I don't think.
And that's the thing, is like, we're covering these, so like, you got to know your time and a place to have them, to show them, and all that stuff. Like, where's your tattoo? Where's my tattoo? My tattoo is on my shoulder. It's always covered unless I'm out without a shirt. Yeah, and that's normally just sun activities, right? So there's a reasoning behind it, and I thought about my tattoo. I thought about it for a couple of years. I know that now the commonplace is like to do the etching, right? Where you're just doing like drawing black and white and it's not being filled in or anything like that. It's simple tattoos, right?
Thing? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's just like,
because I'm more knowledge than I do. I don't have tattoos.
Yeah, Gen Z, all they're about is just, I want to draw a stick figure, so they tattoo a stick figure on them, or letters, or this or that, smiley face. So I feel this, or a star, and it's simple stuff. Like, that's where it's like, yeah, you're having fun right now, but think about it later on. It's like, are you gonna want to keep that, or is it just a mood that you're in? And I get that there's like tattoo laser surgery removal, right? But that's painful. That's expensive. Like, so again, thinking about it, there has to be some thought behind the tattoos. If you just want to go and tattoo yourself, well, you're a unique individual. You can do that. But I don't think it's as commonplace. I think it's just we see it more because, again, it's in your face, like Matt said. So,
Yeah.
I think about it.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting topic. I was just, as I was sitting there, I immediately judged, not having time to prep for the conversation or the thing, it was like, I was like, oh, that's a 15 or 16-year-old with a tattoo. That seems wild to me. But then as I sat with it a little bit and I was like, is it that crazy? Like, is it that big of a deal? Not really, I guess. Like in 2025, like it's not like it's going to stop you from getting a job in the future. It's not like people care as much as they did, 30, 40 years ago. So maybe it's just an outdated way of thinking rather than an outdated way of living, But that's our opening conversation. Welcome, guys. Episode 5. We got a fun episode planned for you guys this week. We're going to be diving into the new Superman movie, which recently dropped a new trailer. We're going to get a review of The Weeknd's new album, Hurry Up Tomorrow. And we're also going to be digging into a very popular new video game. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong here. Claire Obscura Expedition 33?
Yep.
All right. Said that right. Did not expect to. So, yeah, we got all that and more on the way, guys. So thanks for hanging out with us, and let's get into it. Welcome to Speakeasy. This is the podcast where we have quality conversations fueled by quality craft cocktails. My name's Adonis. I'm joined in studio, as always, by Mr. Matt Gowan and Mr. Luis Herrera. How are we doing today, boys?
Doing good.
Good. Glad to hear it. Speaking of quality cocktails, Luis, give the people a little bit of a breakdown on what you made for us today. What are we drinking?
This is going to be the easiest drink. If you've ever wanted to make a drink, easiest drink to make. But I was feeling fun. I was feeling light. I wanted to pick a drink that was also, lighter and white, to reference a topic later on. But whoa. No, I made a Pina Colada.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very, very simple. All you need is pineapple juice, coconut puree or mix, rum, and that's it. Like, I added some fun pineapples, but it's very light. I was like, it's getting hot, guys. We need something to cool down, something fun. It's very sweet. So
yeah, this is a huge deviation from your last drink. We go from an old fashioned to a pina colada. I think that's probably, if you had a spectrum of drinks, old fashioned would be on one end, pina colada would be on the other. So, yeah, I'm excited to go down this drink journey with you, just because I feel like now we've gotten both extremes. I'm excited to see what you can do in the middle there. But yeah, this is very little alcohol. You said 2 ounces, right?
2 ounces of everything.
2 ounces of Maibu, which is barely alcohol in and of itself.
Yeah.
So, no worries about being buzzed today, boys. If you guys want to go do some high level calculus after this, I think you would be good to go.
I don't know. I had a hard time waking up earlier. You guys making fun of me, but no, it's easy, right? It's light. It's meant to be refreshing. It's not meant to like get so much alcohol in your system that it messes you up. But
it's a drink that helps, when you're like getting caught in the rain and you're not really into yoga, but you're just like, what am I feeling? I'm feeling a real good pina colada.
If you hate filling out your timesheets, I hear it's really good for that.
Yes.
No, and this is probably as sweet as I'm gonna get with drinks. Is it sweet? No, right?
Is it sweet?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
I was gonna say it's very sweet. I mean, second to the Bahama Mama that we did last time, but this is very sweet.
I mean, it's not like overly sweet where you're like,
added
oh my god,
sugars,
this is too sweet. Yeah, but it's definitely a sweet drink for sure.
Yes.
Man, the last few drinks we've done have all been tropical, chill drinks. Pineapple's been heavy in the rotation on Speakeasy in the last few episodes. So, we might have to branch out a little bit. But I'm a fan. I don't know if I could drink these like on a just a random, Saturday night. But if I'm in the right setting for it, sort of like with the Bahama Mama or even the Mai Tai,
Yeah.
you have to be in the right setting to really appreciate, a Pina Colada. But it's a good drink. I'm not going to deny that. But yeah, it's probably not something I'm going to be adding to my cocktail rotation, anytime soon.
All right.
As Matt downs his.
I know.
I mean, hey man, I love me my sweet drinks. I ain't gonna lie.
Cool. All right. If you guys want the recipe, it'll be posted with the episode in the show notes, so you can sip along with us for the rest of the conversation. So if you want to just give us a pause, if you have the ingredients, which are listed in the show notes, go ahead and whip yourself up one. And you know what? Hey, if you don't, just go run out to the grocery store or, DoorDash it, whatever. We're here for you. Whenever you want to come back and join the conversation, we'll be here.
So Adonis has always brought to my attention that I video game a lot. I do. I have a huge amount of hours with something that I find comfort in. So I wanted to ask you guys. Oh yeah, no. One of my biggest one is Final Fantasy 14. I have at least 1,400 hours in that game, which we did the math is like 58 days.
Yeah.
So, but the biggest thing is that I find comfort. That's my escape. So I wanted to ask you guys, what would you say is one of your big escapes that you guys go to? Like you had a rough day. What are you running to help get away from the day?
Like comfort.
Yeah. What's something you find comfort in?
Yeah, way to put us on the spot. No, I enjoy spending time with people and going out and having fun. People watching has been, we just talked about it.
Yeah.
It's great for me, and like the more social in that area, and then we can start doing activities and stuff like that. I find comfort in that. I don't know what it is about socializing. I guess, even growing up, if I look back at it, like my family, my parents, my dad, we were always getting together on the weekends, and it was either my dad was gigging and he would take me to his gigs, and then there'd be parties and all that stuff, or like I said, we'd get together on the weekends. We'd go to my grandfather's ranch, or we'd go to the beach. Just like we had different places that we could go to, but it was always, let's get together with the family, all socialize and have fun. Kids would run around, parents would cook, drink, dance, like sing too. So I've always found that atmosphere comforting for myself.
That's interesting. That's definitely sort of the opposite of where my brain goes. When I think about like, oh man, I had a stressful day at work, the last thing I want to do is socialize. The last thing I want to do is be around other people and having to like, and I say force myself to socialize because that's 90% of the time when I'm in social, interactions with people who I don't consider close friends. But I guess that's the difference, right? You're hanging out with your close friends and family. So, yeah, but to actively have to do something is like the last thing on my list. Like, yeah, I'm like, please stay away from me. Like, give me some time, give me some space to just exist and sort of do my own thing for a little while. That's what I consider unwinding. So, and I think that's probably the more general answer. Like, if you took a random poll, like, oh, how do you unwind after a long day? Like, most people are going to say something that's a little more self-centered. So the fact that you are on the opposite end of that spectrum where you want to surround yourself with people and loved ones and family and friends, that's interesting. That's an interesting outlook. I wonder what Freud would have to say about that.
All sorts of messed up things.
I think my thing is like, I mean, again, it's commendable that you're like, I want to be around people. Me, I'm like jeans off, PJ pants on.
Exactly, yeah. Like,
I got my favorite food coming to me just to some degree.
Yeah.
And I either have Lord of the Rings on, or I am locked in at playing some type of video game that allows me to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Either something like easy as like Pokemon, or something like I'll say like I avoid competitive games when I'm in a bad mood because that brings out the absolute worst in me.
Okay.
But yeah, no, commendable that you're like, bring me around people. No.
Yeah.
That's why I don't play competitive games. I want every person away. Let me just sit here and play with my imaginary pets. But no, I mean, hey, that's really cool. Because again, you're a big family guy though. Like you've always like your connection with your mom, dad, and your brother and sister is like, again, I think Freud would have some questions. I'm just kidding. You have a healthy relationship. I'm just playing.
Yeah, but
I think it's great though.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it, and I think the biggest thing is that like the reason why I jumped to that is that like you guys said it right after a hard day's work or having to deal with this person or that person or like even my work, like the employees or the guests or the surroundings, like as soon as I step out of that, change the people and be around people that I care about, I like, it completely changes that.
It recharges your battery.
And it allows me to stop thinking about that thing that was bugging me the entire time. It's like, oh no, now I'm here with you guys. I'm going to have a good time with you guys. To that sense though, like even playing games like Pokemon, like I like the Pokemon games. We'll talk more about them, but like the social aspect is like the only game that's been consistent with me has been Pokemon Go, and that's because I get to do it with other people outside, interact with them.
Yeah.
And you go to a building. If I were like, I can sit down, enjoy some time, but I get stir crazy. So,
gotcha.
I wonder how that plays back into you, like, never having really lived alone, right? And obviously you're in your mid 30s now, so probably the next venture that you take will be with someone who you're hoping to like settle down with and start a family with. So you've never really, have you ever lived alone? Like, have you ever like not had other people around?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I did. So I was in a long, one of the longest relationships I was in. I lived with her for 4 years. And ultimately, like, I did find myself like we would have our own time together, but there were times and I know she realized that like I needed to get out, I needed to socialize. It's one of those that like even being at home, when we lived together, we were always there, but we were never there at the same time or interacting as much.
No, but I feel like we were always, so there was always somebody home, like, so you never, so I guess that's what I wanted, like, that's what I wanted to just sort of get into, like, or not get into, but just sort of throw your way. Like, is it because you've never really lived alone that you feel like being around other people is comforting? Like,
I think so. Like, and I mean, there's stints of time, like days and weeks where I'll be by myself, whether it's at my house or again with you guys, but like knowing that I have someone I can hang out with or talk to or pick up whenever, and it's just like it's been the comforting thing. I guess it's my norm.
No, and I can agree with that to some degree, because like my closest relationships in the past, and even really the present, like are with people who I feel like I don't need to necessarily entertain when I'm around them. Like I've had plenty of friendships, close friendships with people where we just wanted to sort of share the same space. It was like we didn't even need to really socialize, but it's like you're not alone, It's like, hey, we can be in the same room doing our own individual thing, and it's just comfortable having another presence in the room with you. Like I would, like, even going all the way back to high school, like I would spend almost every day with my best friend, and we would just literally go to like her house after school, and she would like work on her assignments, I would work on my assignments. We wouldn't be like, she wouldn't like, and when she would come over to my house, we never really had to entertain each other. It was always just like, hey, I just like being in your company. I like feeling your presence. So like, I want to do that. It was never like, oh, hey, do you want to go do this? Or you want to go out to eat here tonight? Or you want to watch this movie? Or you want to play this thing? It was like, no, we can just sort of be in the same space and just, coexist together. And that's always been sort of the mark of a strong relationship in my eyes, is that I can share space with someone. And if I can share space with you without feeling the need to entertain you, or my brain's not constantly going to, oh my God, are they bored right now? Oh my God, do I need to do anything to like, make them feel more comfortable? No, it's like, if we can just exist together and be comfortable in that, then that's how I know that it's a real and solid friendship. So I get that aspect of it. Like, not wanting to necessarily be alone, but not always needing to. I guess the caveat for me is like, I don't always need to do things with people. I don't need to actively socialize to be social.
Yeah, and I like my socializing isn't the actively, like, right? Because like when we go out and when I am hanging out with people. I'm not the one initiating conversations. I might pick the place. Hey, let's go do this. Hey, let's do that. But then when we're there, it's like, all right, let's wherever it takes us, it'll take us. And
I find people who need to constantly do something exhausting. Like I feel like if you're the type of person who's like, oh man, we always like every time we go and do something, it's like, oh, we got to go do this, this, and this. It's like, yo, just chill. Like, can we just be like, you don't always have to be moving. Like, just relax a little bit. I'm a chill person though. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm a very low key type of person. So
yeah, where do you find your comfort?
Yeah, you know, outside of that, and Matt told me I couldn't say, you know, my daughter. So
it's the easy answer. We understand that you love your child and you're a great father, you know, but there's got to be what's Adonis like to do.
Yeah, you know,
outside of that.
I will say though, like when because we off mic we briefly mentioned like what you do if you need like a quick pick me up, and if honestly that is like if I'm at work, I work from home. My mother-in-law watches our daughter for us like during the week, so like on my breaks or on my lunch, my first stop is going to see her, like to get that little quick pick me up, because it's like, man, I need a boost, so I'm gonna go play with my daughter for 5 minutes or whatever. So that is my go-to. But if I'm, you know, if I can't select that, if I can't choose that, I mean I have my comfort things, my comfort shows, my comfort movies, my comfort books. You know, I fall into something. Generally, I fall into something that I've watched or read or listened to a million times before, where there's not going to be any surprises, where I know exactly what's coming. So it's nice to just sit and enjoy something that I enjoy. So the Harry Potter books are one thing that me and my family listen to. We listen to the audiobooks on rotation. Like we literally always have it in rotation. The Office is a TV show that we always have in rotation. So if I've had a long day or if I'm having a bad day, I'll definitely throw in The Office and just sit in it and watch it because I've seen it a million times. I have like my comfort movies. I find solace in those forms of media. Music is definitely something that I can just, if I really need to shut my brain off and just, you know, not be engaged at all, like I'll just sit in the dark, throw on my like noise canceling headphones and just listen to something. So I mean I find media probably is the best way for me to relax and be comfortable. It just depends on the day.
Yeah, that's very interesting on two parts, because like you're saying you put it on, and in that sense, do you think it's because you want to control things? Do you see yourself as a control?
Where does that line connect?
Well, and it jumped to like, you know what's going to happen. There's no surprises. There's the
but it's I mean it's not because I want to control the outcome. It's just because I don't want you
don't like surprises.
When I'm engaged in something, like let's say I'm watching a new movie and there's a character that I really like. And the movie is about if this character is going to live or die at the end. The fact that I don't know if the character lives or die at the end, that's going to make me feel anxiety, So if I'm truly trying to relax or unwind, I would rather just do that with something where I know the outcome. So
okay.
And so is it the same thing with like? So do you listen to similar albums when you put on music? Because I find myself
listen to new music.
Does
anybody listen to new music when they're relaxing?
If it's an artist I trust.
Interesting.
If it's an artist I trust, yes. But if it's like if someone said, "Hey, check out this new band," I'm gonna listen to that when I'm either driving or when I put myself in the headspace of, oh, I'm doing this because someone told me to do it.
Yeah, like you feel like you need to give it your attention, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm listening to a new album by one of my favorite artists per se, like I'm actively listening to that album. I'm not listening, it's not in the background. It's not background music for me.
Yeah.
Same thing with movies and TV shows. That's why I feel like I can't truly relax when I'm watching something for the first time, because like I need to be actively engaged in consuming it versus just sort of enjoying it,
That makes sense. Okay.
Now, so one thing though. So is it always The Office, or it's like you've watched The Sopranos? So could you have Sopranos in the back, or is it like, no, I got to watch that?
I can definitely have the reason I can't have Sopranos in the back is because I'm always it is always engaging for me when I'm watching
Yeah.
The Sopranos, and it always like whenever I rewatch it, I always find out something new, or I see something from a character's perspective that's different. So I'm always like, again, I'm always actively watching. But with The Office, I've seen it literally so many times, and I'm not getting anything new out of it. Like, it's just something that I've seen a million times, so I can just literally just enjoy it.
And you still laugh just like it's your first time watching it.
There are moments that still make me like audibly laugh, which is wild. But yeah, no. So I think I find comforting things that I find comforting. As redundant as that sounds, like I like familiarity when it comes to
familiarity.
comfort.
That's the thing. So you don't like the surprises in the unknown.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
solid.
No, I mean, and for me, I think it's like because I'm an only child, and my mom worked 2 jobs growing up, so it was like I was left to my own devices of like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Video gaming was like the way that I didn't get in trouble. Like, hey, who was doing something in the kitchen? It's like, wasn't me, because I was playing, Super Mario on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
It wasn't to say like I had oh, Matt's always in trouble. No, that was the easiest way for me to like be in my room and just wait for someone to call me. So I ran downstairs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always found solace at like just being able to be in a world that was like kind of like a light escape,
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to think about this in the way, I've always liked having being the character that like, I don't like being the one that's the commander. Like, hey, you need to make the calls with these armies. What are we doing? No, you say, this is what you need to do. Go get it done. Sweet. Thank you. I can go do that right now.
Okay. The lieutenant.
Yeah. I'm the guy that gets it done.
Yeah.
Because I've always loved, but I also love like playing like Spider-Man and just like going through all of like New York City, just web slinging and saving people. It's just, I don't know how to put it into words outside of, it's just always been a fun escape to be able to be those characters. The chosen one, even at times. Like, one of my favorite video games is Kingdom Hearts, and in that one, you're the main character is going through this adventure to save his friends, and then it turns into, it's like, it's not just saving your friends, it's the actual fate of the universe. So even though it's like, and I can still play that game even when I just need to relax, and it's like, it's just a very fun experience for me.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I've always really enjoyed either going on this grand adventure like Pokemon, or again Kingdom Hearts, or just something as simple as like, I've never been able to do the games like Sims or Animal Crossing, where it's like, hey, just be here and build your crops.
Yeah,
no.
See, that's always been, when I think about people video gaming to relax, those are the games that come to mind.
For
like,
sure.
Animal Crossing, or, something where you can literally just click.
Yeah.
You're not having to really pay that close of attention to what you're doing, so.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that you have it the other way.
I have tried with like Sims. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Same thing with Animal Crossing. Like, I saw the merit of people who were like, look at my little island, and it was like, oh, that is really pretty. Do you want to play? No, I do not want to spend the money on that. But it's just because I'm just not that type of relaxing gamer. Yeah. I'll play Legend of Zelda, and just the way I relax is I just ride around on my horse listening to the music, and it's just something so mystical and disconnecting in a way that I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm zened out right now. Just being here. I've fallen asleep many a times just traveling in a world, listening to the music, and now my horse is running into a wall.
Until you like run across a camp of like
That's happened before too, where I was like, yes. And you hear the
Yeah.
They're like, oh no. So, but yeah, gaming has always been how I relax after a bad day, just need to disconnect. Video gaming is where it's always been.
So I see that, and like I have a different look at that, because like I agree with Adonis in the fact that like, if I'm gonna play video games to relax, it's probably gonna be Animal Crossing or even Pokemon, the handheld games, where it's just travel, not as engaged as like defeat this person. Well, and I say that because like in the back of your mind, do you know, or do you have that feeling that like this game that I'm playing, Kingdom Hearts, or we talked about Destiny off off mic. But do you know, like, in the back of your mind that, like, all right, at the end of the game, when I finish it, I'm gonna win. Like, the protagonist has to win because that's how the game ends.
Yeah.
Or is it just like an adrenaline thing where oh, this is gonna be fun, engaging, you're gonna battle, and then I know I have to beat these characters to move on. And the game's gonna make me move on.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit of both. I like the hero prevailing. I like being the hero that prevails. But then also it is the adrenaline rush of like, will I?
But you will. I mean, you have to.
Well, sometimes those goblins hit you in such succession that you fall off the side of a mountain and you lose all your hearts if you're playing Legend of Zelda. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it might be more so geared towards I know I enjoy the hero succeeding because I know they're going to.
So it's the story the known story, quote unquote, kind of like Adonis and his TV shows. It's like I know what happens.
Exactly.
And handheld Pokemon, just to say, is only comforting when you don't have to walk through the wild without any repels, because let me tell you, that is the most annoying thing I think I've ever experienced when playing the old Pokemon games.
By the
when you're trying to walk
Zubat.
through, and it's like, it's like, God, can I just get through this goddamn grass?
See,
I do not
worse is
want
the
this level 3 Zubat. All right,
Yes.
Like, I
So
don't
beat it.
need it.
So beat it. So be the hero, kind of like Matt, and just be like, all right, and then you get more XP, and now my Pokemon's stronger.
How much XP are you getting from a level 3 Zubat?
It all adds up.
15. But yeah, no, nothing was more stressful than like being in the cave, needing to have flash because you can't see in the cave, and then every 2 steps, Zubat. I can't tell you. I probably had to have killed a colony of Zubats by the time I got out of that cave, and I'm just sitting there. My Pikachu's all buff now. I'm like, well, this was its fault, not mine.
Man,
See?
when I was a kid, that used to piss me off so bad that I would literally stop playing the game. I would literally turn that shit off. I would like, listen, I'm gonna deal with this later.
Yeah.
I am just so tired of these random Pokemon attacking me.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially again in that damn cave with those 400 Zubats.
I do not want another Pidgey. I don't need another Caterpie. Just leave me alone.
But yeah, hey, thank you guys. I like that I get to see how my boys like to zone out and get comfortable after a hard day. So
I'll tell you, that was a comforting conversation topic.
I thought it was a good one too.
James Gunn's Superman, which is dropping in just a couple of months, actually, July 11th, is right around the corner. This new Superman movie, written and directed by James Gunn. It is something that has been pretty hot on the internet as of recently because we got our first official trailer. Which is crazy to say. We got our first official trailer less than 2 months out from the movie release. They've been doing a little bit of marketing. There's been some like behind the scenes stuff. There's been some Comic-Con, footage that's been released. There's been a handful of teaser trailers and clips that have come out. Surprisingly though, the marketing hasn't been great. Like there hasn't been this real marketing push for Superman, and I don't know if that's just because Warner Brothers and DC feel like they don't need it for such a big title.
Okay.
But I do think that it would have been nice to get a little bit more of a marketing push for this because there hasn't really been a lot of hype generated around the movie, I would say. Matt mentioned this a little bit off mic, but it's been getting a lot of criticism. I think that's what the internet, parts of the internet have been more leaning into because of the lack of marketing materials. It's just been a lot of criticism. There also is a huge part of the internet that's super excited for this. I've seen a lot of positive response to it. I've seen a lot of people saying like this is the first time in a long time that they felt like Superman is being done the correct way. So I wanted to just get the panel's opinion on this, specifically on this new trailer that just dropped, but also just on the movie in general. Like, are you guys excited about a Superman movie? Are you guys excited about this kicking off potentially another hero universe? Like, what are your thoughts on it? So obviously I know Matt's a big superhero fan, a big Superman fan.
Yes.
So we'll go to him next. But Luis, as someone who, obviously you're a big movie person, you work in a movie theater, you worked at a movie theater for years, over a decade. So you've seen these movies, come and go. What does this Superman iteration, what is it doing for you? If anything.
This you told me the trailer came out 4 days ago, and I heard it was coming out. But the marketing, I liked what they did with the short that they put before the trailers or during the trailers. It's like 2.5 minutes of an actual scene, right? And you get to see a little bit more of like the world cinematically, and so I liked that, and I was like, okay, this might be interesting to watch. The character as itself, Superman speaks for itself. But it also has like that taboo behind it of like anyone that does a Superman role doesn't really like get their next step afterwards, right? Because it's a hard character to portray. Everyone has such high expectations for Superman and for the Superman character that it is hard to portray, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little bit of I don't want to say obscure, but I don't think that's a necessarily like a common thing that people think. I will say that there are people out there, like diehard Superman fans, who will say that we've never had a good Superman movie.
Yeah.
People actively say that like there hasn't been a good ever. Period. So yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah, and to that point, I'm like, if someone's gonna bring light to this, I'm trying to think, and like James Gunn, he's hot, right? He's like the it guy when it comes to superhero movies and the characters and all that. So I think we're heading in a good direction. I can see some of the controversial things about it, but like again, these are the people that are getting ahead of it and saying, "Oh no," critiquing every little bit instead of just let it have its space, let it be a character, and then see, who is this made for? It's not made for the super fans or you specifically. It's not made, hey, James Gunn made a movie just for me. No. But I'm interested. I caught the trailer, and I will say that like it looks fun, looks a little bit lighter, but the big thing that drew me in is I caught a glimpse of like what you said, that extra world, and I saw Kyle, help me out with the Green Lantern.
Oh,
Guy
Gardner.
Guy Gardner.
I was gonna say Kyle's not in that one.
No, so Guy Gardner, and I was like, Nathan, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I like Nathan Fillion.
I loved Nathan Fillion. I'm like, I still expect him to have a Booster Gold role somewhere down the line.
Man, that's a good call out. Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna watch this movie, I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna have fun with it because like he's in every Guardians of the Galaxy. That's one of my favorite franchises. So just having that extra character to like, oh, fun cameo, worth the watch, big screen. So I'll watch it. I'll probably end up watching it the first weekend. I'm not going to be running into the theaters to.
Oh man, so it sounds like you're not super enthusiastic about it. Nothing.
Listen, if I watch a movie now, that means like, good job, you got me into the seat. Because there is no one other than Spider-Man that's gonna get me in their first day, first movie.
Wow.
Okay. It's just I spend too much time at work. I'm sorry.
You could always go to a different theater.
I try. I try.
I try.
Well, so no, we watched Sinners together. Oh, different theater chain. I'm not paying.
Yeah.
I'm not paying.
Well,
to go to the competitor. That's a own personal problem, right?
That's just your.
Well, then I've tried.
He's got that loyalty.
Yeah, and I've tried to go to different theaters, not my own building.
Yeah.
But work mode, just like I think I see something, I'm like, yeah, we could be doing this, guys, or this needs to be this guy.
There's like a lot of really cool, like I mean, Alamo Drafthouse. Majestic is a chain that I think if you're looking for a break from the norm as far as movie theaters go, like the bigger chains, then I think that's a really good spot. Not just you specifically, but anybody listening. If you're like, man, I really don't really like the movie theater aesthetic or vibe anymore, I would say branch out into like a Majestic, or there's a ton of other like dine-in style movie theaters now.
So I've gone to a couple, but then it goes down to like, well, the screen quality isn't as big or light quality. I'm very critiquative. I like, and the seats, right? If the seats aren't comfortable, yeah,
I get it. I get it.
I am a movie snob now.
Yeah.
I can admit that. So
Sounds like you're a theater snob more than a movie snob.
yes.
But fair enough. All right, so Matt, we'll kick it to you as the resident Superman authority here. What's your, I guess what's your initial, or not initial, but overall, feeling about this iteration of Superman? Are you excited?
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm so pumped to talk about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
One of the things that I absolutely it dawned on me really, really strong on this most recent trailer is how bright and colorful it is. And there's something about that's like, I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I thought I wish he had more. He didn't. And I think he had a good run though with that one movie, and the two movies.
3 technically.
Yeah, we're counting Black Adam.
No, Justice League.
Oh, fair enough. My bad. Yep, that's on me. But the one thing with the Zack Snyder universe is always it was that dark and gritty universe, and to kind of put that in perspective, Superman is always about hope. He's always about being the pinnacle of what we should want to be as a society of we lift each other up. We always dream. We always try to help our fellow man. And watching this trailer, I was like, man, I feel it though now. Now seeing this, maybe I don't I'm not in love with the actor just only because I'm not really familiar with his work, but seeing him be this attempt to be the pillar, I'm excited for. I love seeing the situations that he's going to be in, because you have Lex Luthor as the president, and that in its own is its own crazy amount of problems that happens in the comic books for him. And my first thoughts were, this is really cool. Now I have some criticisms, but it's you're not going to get a 1-for-1. There's some people watching that trailer. There's a spot where he gets shot by a tank and he blocks the explosion and the fire goes around him. And a lot of people were like, why is he even blocking? He doesn't need to block. Look, man, maybe they're using a type of weapon. Clearly they have some type of weaponry that's able to hurt him. Maybe he was like, I have to block that because that actually might be a kryptonite bullet or a shell or something. But even if it's not, man, it's a movie. It's not going to be a 1-for-1.
Yeah, little nitpicks like that just really bother me. Also, if you really want to get into it, Clark is he grew up on Earth, right? He probably got into fights as a kid. He probably had all this other stuff happen. So his reactions to things are going to be human. And the human reaction when you see something coming towards you is to put your hand up. It's not you're not thinking in that moment, oh, I'm impervious to this, so I don't need to do anything. It's that's just, I feel like that's just a natural human reaction, and part of his whole identity is that he's Kryptonian, but he grew up on Earth, so he's also human, right?
Yeah,
that's part of the conversation. So,
and there's another part where he gets set into a crater essentially, and one person comes over and picks him up, and they're like, really? Superman's so weak that he has to get picked up? Superman's vulnerable enough to allow himself to get picked up. Yeah, he could have told the person, hey, wait, and then just get back up, but he's vulnerable enough to say, you know what? Hey, again, he's supposed to be the pinnacle of how we help each other.
The same way, you know what that gives off if he were to say, you know what, buddy, hey, I don't need your help, is when someone sneezes and you say bless you and the person goes, I'm an atheist. It's no, you just say thank you. Even if you're you don't need to turn it into a thing, guys. Hey, if someone offers to help him up, of course he doesn't need their help to get up, but you just do it because that's the human thing to do. We don't need to be nitpicking little shit like this. That's
and Superman,
ridiculous. It's also a movie, you said.
And Superman is, if anything, he is kind. So if someone puts their hand out to help him, he's not gonna say, "Yeah, I don't need that." Yeah. He's gonna do it, and he's gonna say thanks.
Yeah.
He doesn't, but so all these weird critiques that I've been seeing of people saying he seems weaker because why did he save the kid from the canisters? Why didn't he just grab him? Man, that's been talked about in comics before. It's why is he grabbing somebody when they're falling out of midair? Because it's a whole science thing of if he actually tried to catch them safely, he'd kill them. But be that as it may, to me, I'm excited. I love the color flare. I'm excited to see what James Gunn does with this universe. And I will say, actually, to give you a quick shout out, Luis, that was a really good call on Nathan Fillion being a Guy Gart, a Booster Gold vibe, because I was like, damn, he would have been a great Booster Gold. But we don't have to worry about that. That's comic book stuff. So, but for what this movie is, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a great time. I definitely will be there opening night. And I haven't done that for a movie in a very long time.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm hoping that's the general vibe, because I hope people go see movies in theaters, because I think that's the only thing that's going to keep movies in theaters. Just because it's been such a scary time for films in theaters and over the last several years. So I'm always excited to see a big movie that warrants people going to see it on the biggest screen possible, because it's just good for the medium. And as a cinephile myself, I always think movies should be experienced in theaters whenever possible. So I just hope the world just has this vibe of in 20 years, everything's going to be streaming only. And I just really hope that we don't ever get to that point. So, but no, as far as this movie goes, as far as Superman goes, I'm optimistic that it'll be good, because James Gunn has never really let us down. Like with the Guardians trilogy, with Suicide Squad, like he's never really dropped the ball when it comes to comic book movies. Yeah, people have their gripes with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It was still a really good movie. It just wasn't anywhere near as good as the original, which, when is the sequel ever better than the original? You probably count on one hand as like how many times that has happened. So I think that he is the best person for the job, because I do think that DC and Warner Brothers have sort of been searching for their Russo brothers, if you will, from the MCU. They've been searching for their head of operations that can get them off the ground. So I'm glad that James is writing and directing this. It could be a flop. It could be bad. It could just be that Superman is not a comic book property that can be successfully translated into a movie. Maybe it will never be successful. I think if anybody can make it successful, though, it's James Gunn. All that being said, I can say that I watch these trailers and I watch these clips, and it doesn't really do anything for me personally. And I think that's just a me problem. Yeah. Because I think I just have comic book movie fatigue. I think I've had it for years. There's nothing that I've watched recently in terms of comic book movies that have really done anything for me, outside of maybe like a Wakanda Forever. I thought was really good, just the way they handled everything in that movie. But like I watch even like the Fantastic Four trailer, and it just doesn't really do anything for me. I don't think it looks bad. It just personally doesn't really do anything for me. And unfortunately, it's the same thing with this Superman movie. Like I think all the pieces are great. I think you've got a lot of great characters, a lot of great actors. You got a great writer and director. So everything points to this, movie being really good, and I should be excited. But I'm just not, and I just think it's because it's that fatigue. It's that, man, I've seen a million comic book movies over the last decade, and I just need them to go away for a while. Also, like I was excited when Man of Steel came out. I really liked Man of Steel originally. After watching it, after a few years, it does lose some of its luster. I think when I first watched Man of Steel, I was in a point in my movie critic life where I valued style over substance as far as movies go. And Zack Snyder is the king of style in movies. Like his movies, even if they're really bad, like Sucker Punch, will all look incredible. Like he's got a finger on the pulse of what looks really cool. So his movies visually are always amazing, but yeah, like Man of Steel doesn't necessarily stand up to the test of time, I have to say. It has some big problems, but I think it looks great. I'm hoping this is able to find that balance where it looks really cool and it has a good story to tell. It's a little crowded, I would say, if I have any critiques. I'm hoping that these characters, this laundry list of characters that are in this movie, don't have like main roles, and that maybe they're just going to be cameos here and there or very quick scenes. I still hope I'm still holding out hope that this is a Superman centric story and it's not like Justice League light. You know, it's not like something where we're just gonna have a bunch of characters throughout the whole movie. I'm still hoping that it's Superman centric. I as far as like the main characters go, the big three, if you will, of Superman, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor, I think the cast is great. A lot younger than we've seen in recent years. You know, I know that's throwing some people off too, to have such young iterations of these characters. But I mean, as the recent versions of these characters we've got have all been relatively older, so I think if you're wanting to do something new, you kind of got to go the opposite way. You know, you can't really you can't do more of the same. That's the problem. That's what that's what DC tried to do. They just tried to kept trying to make these characters work when they had so many examples of them not working. They were just trying to make them work. And I think James Gunn had to come in and say, listen, we're doing something different. I know you all love Henry Cavill as Superman, but he doesn't work. Like, you fanboys might all love him, but hey, the numbers say this, so we gotta move past Henry.
I don't even know. I mean, like, for me, I think the biggest problem is that whoever was heading the DC side of all of that was like, we have to be on the level of Marvel now, and it's like, no, you need to build into that. Like, I don't know if it was. I think it was more so just the writing. They just kept trying to do these, like, let's right away get these three people in a movie together, and I think that's what was doing it so wrong. But that's my take on that.
Yeah, I mean, you love your boy, so you know,
I do. I love Henry Cavill.
You're never gonna talk bad about him, but no, I just think he had his time. You know, he had his moment in the sun.
Yeah, he got 3 movies.
Yeah, he got 3 movies.
I have a question.
Yeah,
because Lex Luthor, is he the same from this new movie as the last? Because it's the same actor, right, Jesse?
No, it's not.
Nicholas Hoult is the new Lex Luthor.
Oh,
yeah.
I did not know that. It looks like Jesse.
Oh yeah, wouldn't know.
Jesse Eisenberg had hair, and
then he shaved it off.
We never got to see, other than that one scene. We never got to see.
Yeah, there was 2 minutes at the end of that.
Spoiler alert!
Oh man. The Jesse Eisenberg and Nicholas Hoult definitely don't look the same.
Yeah,
I need to rewatch that trailer.
I think you need to look at a picture of Jesse Eisenberg next to Nicholas Hoult.
But yeah, I think Nicholas Hoult is solid. I like him a lot, actually. I think he's a really good actor. There's no reason I shouldn't be excited for this, but I'm not.
I think what it comes down to is you just don't like joy, and that's okay.
Fair enough. No, I'm still going to see it if it gets good enough feedback. If I get good enough feedback on it from people whose opinion I trust, I'll make sure to go see it in theaters. It was shot for IMAX, so that's always a plus. Because like I said, bigger is better when it comes to movies. So I'm definitely gonna make the trip to an IMAX to see this if I get the feedback that it's worth it. So, I just wanted to make sure we talked about it because it has been getting so much critique online. People have been really sort of shitting on it, for lack of a better phrase. One thing I have been seeing a lot of people critique the suit. What are your thoughts on the suit? Like, people have been saying like it doesn't fit right. Like, why does he look so thin? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Where are all these pageant moms coming from? I don't know, man. I think the suit looks great. Yeah. I'm just accounting that to pageant moms. Like,
and people are talking because there's a shot in this last trailer where his mom says, "I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you." So they're making the connection that his mom made the suit, and that's why it looks so bad.
No,
no.
So they're saying like, okay, at least now canonically that makes sense.
No.
I just look, people. If you don't want to see the movie, I'd rather you just keep your thoughts to yourself.
They're fanboys, Matt. That is literally impossible.
I know
it is. With your life.
But it's like, to me, it's like, I don't know, man. You ever just miss a time where we just didn't have easy access to post our thoughts?
Oh, yes.
On the go all the time. Yeah. Hey, at the end of the day, Your thoughts, I think that your thoughts are unwarranted, or your opinions are unwarranted. However, you're entitled to it. So you're like, I don't like the suit. I don't think there's a problem with the suit.
Yeah.
But that's your opinion. That's my opinion.
And I will say, like, okay, you're making the critique that, like, he looks skinny and he looks thin. Like, the suit makes him look like...
Not me,
I mean,
but
no.
yeah.
They're making,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it and you want to get technical and you want to point stuff out, like, the fact that he is an alien and his metabolism is going to be different than ours, like, his muscle mass isn't just going to grow like that. No, he's got to... So he's going to be skinny. Come on.
It's like... we don't know exactly how long we're in, like, because we know it's not an origin story. Thank God it's not an origin story.
It doesn't look
again.
year one either, because there's
it's probably not year one, but it's probably
Homecoming?
year 4 or 5, because Lex at this point has been really annoyed by him. Lex is president, from what it sounds like as well. And again, he hasn't had a reason. He hasn't had the villains that come that where he's like, okay, I have to get a lot stronger. Like Darkseid or Apocalypse hasn't shown up just yet.
Yeah.
So, why? What does my Superman is a 6'5" Adonis who can bend? That is your Adonis. That is your Superman. That's fine. Yeah. That is this universe's Superman. If you can't disconnect the two, don't see the movie.
Yeah.
It's that easy, man.
I think a lot of people, or a lot of the feedback that I've been seeing just about Superman movies in general, is that like his villains are never like how do you do a Superman villain correctly? And I listened to a reviewer. She's sort of a media personality, and she's a huge she is still like big into comic books. Grace Randolph is her name, and she was saying in her last review of the trailer that it was like that what movies won't do that they should do is bring Brainiac in as like a Superman villain, because he's like, it would be easy to do, and that's like someone who can go toe to toe with Superman. But she's basically saying like she doesn't know why studios are afraid to bring in Brainiac.
I think I don't know if this is the right answer, but I think the problem is that Brainiac, and this is the problem with like all Marvel movies, because you can go back and you're like, why is this cataclysmic problem happening? Mm-hmm. Where are all the other superheroes in the universe? It's like, you go to Thor, the Dark World, where the dark elves are destroying London.
Oh, yeah.
Where is Iron Man? Where are the other superheroes that can fly? Brainiac, whenever Brainiac shows up, he is a cataclysmic problem. He is a world tier problem. Yeah. And so it's like Superman never just beats him by himself. He does beat him, but it's through the help of Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
So I think if they did, now I want them to, now that she said that, that's really dope.
Yeah.
But I think it's like you have to get established at least 2 more heroes, and then Brainiac is like the Thanos, if you will. But that is a really cool suggestion. Brainiac is a very dope suggestion.
Yeah, because I think that is some, because Superman should be like villain of the week. Really shouldn't work for a Superman with how powerful he is. So when you're doing a Superman movie and you bring in like a Zod or a Doomsday like they did in this last version of the Superman movies, like it doesn't really work, because he's going to ultimately defeat those guys. Like it's not like they're going to actually pose much of a threat to him. Now, the movies tried to make make them, more than they were. Mm-hmm. But I think, when people say like, oh, his villains are never up to par, it's just because there hasn't been like a Thanos type character that's been introduced in one of these movies yet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Superman has ever had to deal with, again, the Thanos level threat, like the Marvel movie setup.
Yeah. And I think it's another problem too, again, that comes from the movies that the comic books will always be able to do a little bit better, is that the movies, like, we have to end with a resolution.
Yeah.
Every time that like Zod, Zod gets sent to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
Darkseid or Brainiac, we stopped you. Yeah. That's all that we did. We got this person to say, "Okay, cool. Yep, you beat my current plan.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be back."
Yeah. They don't have to die.
Yeah. And I think the movie, that's the biggest hindrance on a movie level, is that they're like, "Oh, we have to kill him." Not kill.
There has
to be a resolution that's like they're in jail. They're in prison. No, let the villain get away and say, "I'll be back."
As cool as Lex Luthor is as a character, like, he can't be Superman's ultimate, like rival, like because it's just stupid if you think about it. Like this guy is just a person. He has no powers. Like,
well,
it's like he could, other than the whole kryptonite thing, which I know
Well-
is like,
No, you're right. It's at a different power level. It's not Batman and Joker.
well, he can't.
Yeah.
So the thing is like Superman can't just not end Lex, but it's more so it's like Lex has the influence of the fact that he's like the Elon Musk of that world.
Sure.
So it's like, oh, if I, that, and that's why he has so many people that do back him, and why he's able to still be this multi-billionaire problem to Superman, because he's like, if you were to do anything to me, your public opinion would die, and people would hate you.
Yeah.
So that's why he's still able to be the jerk that he is, and why he is a formidable foe, quote unquote, because Superman has to like really try and at some point win him over. He never does.
yeah,
And it's like, but you can't also get rid of him. But yeah, on a physical level,
a
no.
threat, like on a true threat level, yeah, for a movie. Again, maybe that works in the comics, or I'm sure that worked in Smallville, but like you can't, like on a movie setting where you need to have
when he makes
a
the
big
when he makes the kryptonite super suit,
Yeah.
he does become a problem.
I don't
but
even
that's
know.
not right away.
Yeah, they haven't even talked about, because I know initially Zack Snyder said he was going to leave out Kryptonite. That obviously got retconned very quickly. But I don't know. They haven't mentioned Kryptonite being a thing in this new movie or this new universe. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We haven't seen it in any trailers.
I mean, we haven't seen it, but you can allude to it because of like the whole 2.5-minute clip where he's like, he needs sun to be recuperated, right?
Yeah,
That doesn't mean Kryptonite exists.
Kryptonite. He's just the Earth's sun makes Superman more powerful because of like.
But how
young
The yellow sun.
how was he
the race.
not like? Where did his power go? What happened? How did he get to?
Oh,
that
you were
state?
saying like why he needed.
Oh,
this?
why was
Yeah.
he drained?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could make the argument that maybe, again, that's kind of why I was thinking like maybe the weaponry is made to hurt him, and it's like there's some traces of kryptonite.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, we won't know until we watch the movie, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't want to get too much into it. Obviously, we'll have a lot more to say about it when the movie actually drops in a couple months. So we'll make sure to do a full breakdown, a full review of it once it hits theaters. So you know what? I'll commit to it. I'll commit to seeing it, Luis. I'm going to commit you to watching it opening weekend as well, so that we can talk about it on the podcast.
I guess we're watching it in IMAX.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it in IMAX.
Can't we just go watch it in the Dolby?
If
Right.
it's filmed with IMAX cameras, I like to go see it in
All right.
IMAX.
Matthew was trying to save money. Now he's got to spend money.
Why do you have to spend money?
Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the same. Did you ever get your A-list back, by the way?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Don't use it. I'm an idiot.
Man. Once a week, Matt.
I need to start. Well, I meant to go see Thunderbolts, but Matthew has just been like, man, what am I doing today? I'm gonna play more video games.
I hear Thunderbolts is actually really good.
I'm very excited to go see it. I need to before it gets out of the theaters.
Me too.
So the game that I have been playing on repeat for the past 2-3 weeks now is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This is a game that takes place in a dark fantasy Belle Epoque setting. Sorry, my French is terrible. I don't know if that's the right word.
Oh, it's French.
Yes, it is extremely French.
Okay.
The game follows the volunteers of Expedition 33 as they set out to destroy the Paintress, a being causing the yearly gommage, which erases those at or above the age in an ever-decreasing number. So the previous year was 34. When this game starts, it goes down to 33. So everybody who was 34 dies. And that sets our heroes on their journey. This game has... So I know, Adonis, you're somebody who absolutely loves great storytelling.
Yes.
This game has by far one of the best stories I think I've ever run into in a game in a very, very long time.
Wow.
It was made by a team of 33 people, which I found that kind of hilarious. Like, that they did the name, and then it's like, how big was the team?
cute. That's
33
cute.
people.
You know, they probably could have added like 10 more people and given
Expedition
given
43.
those extra lives back and more storytelling.
I was happy that they were like, hey, we got to keep them kind of young. We'll make some 30-year-olds who are like, well, what are we gonna do? Let's go save the world, I guess. This game is absolutely stunning. The music, it was not on my 2025 bingo card to care about French music. But this video game just does so amazing at making you care for the characters through the music, through the story itself. It ends up becoming this amazing journey. And one of the things I really liked is one of the main characters is Gustav, who was voiced by Charlie Cox.
Oh yeah.
Which
I remember seeing that.
blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because I was like, has he ever done a video game before? No.
Wait, so are these? It's a French game. Do they have French accents? Is Charlie Cox doing that?
Yeah, there's a little bit. He says putain, merde, and it's funny hearing Charlie Cox say that because he's very British.
Yeah. I wonder why they didn't get like French Canadians at least. There's a lot of famous French Canadians that probably could have put off the accent a little bit better.
I think. So it's like that. When we're playing it, we're playing in the English, like with the English voices. They do have French voices as voice actors as well.
Oh, okay. So the characters aren't French.
They are.
Okay, but they only say certain words with the French accent.
Yeah, they try their best.
Okay, but it's not like these. But it's not like they're actually like speaking all the time in like thick French.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, not at all.
Okay.
Maybe if you play the game in French, it is.
Yeah,
but no, when you're playing it, like at least here in the States, it's English actors who every now and then try to say a French word.
Have a French word that they can't just say.
Just randomly just hit it.
A French word, yeah.
Yeah, randomly hits a merde.
Fromage,
Yeah.
You have to try to put a little spin on it. I get it. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Such a great experience. I had beaten the game to completion, and I'm actually working on it again. Before we recorded today, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play another hour of it or so.
Is it a multiplayer game?
No, it is single player.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's where some of the best stories come from, in my opinion, is a single player story. But yeah, I mean, this game, ups, downs, maybe it makes you laugh, makes you cry, and it has been one of the greatest experiences of gaming for me, at least in the last 2 years.
Wow.
So,
big deal. All positive. So, with single player games like this, I know you're a big you like to play games with your friends.
Yeah.
So when you guys are playing games like this, is it just something where you like meet up and talk about your experiences? I know gaming, a big part of gaming for you is sharing gaming with your friends.
Yeah.
So like how does that aspect of it work? Do you just say, hey, let's jump on a chat or something and just talk about how cool this is, or is it just like sort of you're just all enjoying it individually?
So part of it is sometimes we'll all jump into like an application that we have through our computers.
Sure.
And we'll just all chill in the room playing the game. We're all different spots. We try to like make sure we don't ruin anything.
Gotcha.
But we'll just be there and we'll all sit in the room kind of and play the game at the same time.
Nice.
Or we share a bunch of memes on social apps about the game that we're playing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's how we best experience the single player game together.
Gotcha. And it's so I guess, okay, generally speaking, and maybe you can touch on this as to why you hold this game in such high regard, but what makes this such a standout versus other games that you've played this year that have been really good? Like another game that I've heard a lot of people talk about, that I heard people talk about before this, was that new co-op game, Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh, Strange Fiction.
Strange Fiction, yeah.
Yes.
Like what? So you say this is maybe the best game you've played in 2 years. What you have something like that where I've heard is like super unique. It's got all these cool little, features. What makes a game like this? And again, speaking to a gaming novice, I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there don't really game. But what makes a game like this, Expedition 33, stand out versus a game like that? Who would who I can understand as an outsider looking in? Oh, that sounds like they're unique in the way that they're this game is set up, and a lot of the gameplay elements are cool and different. And this sounds just like a really good game with a really great story, but what makes this stand out over something like that?
I think for me, one of the things I really enjoyed was I used to play a lot of like the turn-based fighting games, like Final Fantasy as a kid.
Yeah.
So this brings back turn-based, but it also adds a level of like, it's not just push the button and your character attacks. It's, hey, push the button. Now this move's going to have a rhythm to it, and if you can meet the rhythm, it's going to do more attacks. When you get attacked, you can either dodge or you can try to parry the attack. So the combat is very, very engaging, and I really appreciate that they made it to where it's not just this tedious push a button and you're going.
And that's new? That's something that's not been done before?
The only other time that I ran into a turn-based game that did this was back in like the 90s.
Oh, wow.
So like Mario Party or...
Oh, yeah, Mario Party RPG
that did that.
Legends of Dragoon was the one that I was saying, but it's not done a lot where it's like based off of like a rhythm when you're doing the attacks.
Okay.
So mechanic-wise, I think that was very inspiring, but I think truly it's the environment that you're in. It's... You start with this story that's like, okay, we need to go defeat the Paintress. And then from there, it just evolves to this great journey where to me, anytime that like I'm caring about every character on my team, I need to know what their resolutions are to their stories. I think that's what makes it resonate a lot more for me. And it's like, you could have just played this game and it stayed face value, that you just focused on, this is the main character, I'm running to the end. But the benefit of exploring, the benefit of talking to every character had such a beautiful payout that it really helped me enjoy the story even more and understand the relationships that all the characters had with each other. And I think that's why it stuck out to me, is it was a game that like, yeah, you could either play it at face value and you get the experience you do, but if you actually sit down and do all these extra things, you're going to have an experience that really is long lasting. I had a thought about a character where I was like, oh, I really just don't like this character. They seem like they're a jerk. And if I didn't go out of my way to go do something else, I would have always thought that character was a not a antagonist, but wasn't the best of people. And then at the end of what I did, I was like, oh wow, no, never mind. It ended up actually making sense, because in a way, all of the characters are an expression of grief, and that ended up being a really fun thing to experience.
Got you. Okay, so it really is just like the characters in the story that's really driving this one home for you. Other than that, the updated mechanic on the turn-based fighting,
and the music is very beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen some memes. I've seen, obviously, like I've mentioned before, I'm on Reddit 90% of the day, and people, once Grand Theft Auto got pushed back to next year, people were saying like, oh, that pretty much seals the deal for this game winning Game of the Year.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Because people obviously think when Grand Theft Auto releases, that'll win, just off of, I think, the principle of being Grand Theft Auto 6, which has been in the making for over a decade, which is wild to think about.
Right.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, because I had, like, before this, I know everyone was talking about that other game that I mentioned,
Strange Fiction.
Strange Fiction, yeah, as being like, oh, that's the game to beat as far as Game of the Year, but now this one has seemed to eclipse it. So I just hadn't heard anything about like the different mechanics or the I guess not in depth about the story. So but if that's the general opinion of gamers, then I guess it must be something special.
Yeah.
It at least is for me.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone, because I think generally speaking, like I said, most of the internet agrees with you. So cool. Anything else you want to throw in there about the game before, I would like you to give it a rating, let's say out of 10.
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
I definitely have to say it's a solid 10.
A 10.
It is a 10.
Okay,
for me.
High. Okay.
Yeah, it just, when I think about the story and how well it evolves, and again, even the music, it just becomes this, like, at some point you're hearing these really epic songs, and then there are these really fun songs where, like, you get a saxophone solo, and it's just so jazzy. It's so uplifting that like there was times I was in a fight and I just sat there and just chilled because I was like the song was just going off so well that I was like, I don't want to beat this just yet. I need to listen to it. I need to absorb this song. I need to digest
French music?
Yes and no.
Okay.
One of the cool things that I found out was the composer that they got for the game. They found him on SoundCloud.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he was just somebody that just was working off there, and the team reached out and they're like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this video game?" And he was like, "Yes." And even like one of the other things too is that a lot of the lead devs are from Ubisoft, and Ubisoft is a very big game developer, but is also like not seen in the best of light because of their tactics with like microtransactions.
Oh, okay.
And so these people were like, we were just kind of bored and we wanted to go make a fun game. Yeah. And this game hit it out of the park, and the story again hits it out of the park. So it's a 10.
Nice.
Wow. There are no transactions or any expansions, any add-ons, any.
They're thinking about doing DLC later on, they're open to it. But I think for the most part, like to the level of where it was like for Assassin's Creed, where it was like buy this equipment for $10 or do this for $15, they've avoided that. I would say my biggest thing is like if you have a way to either play it or if you wanted to watch it, it is very worth it. No. It was a very great experience for the $40 that I paid for it.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
And that was my other favorite thing is that it was $40
Yes.
and it wasn't
a normal 60, right? Isn't that the going rate for video games these days?
for right now.
Yeah.
And it's going up to 80.
Yep. All right. So that's a high bar. We're hoping to do this video game segment every week. So those future games have a lot to live up to.
They do.
You started out pretty hot, setting that bar pretty high. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world. Current events is something that's always, they're current events, so they're always going to be here. But like, do you guys keep up with current events? And if so, how do you consume your news? How do you get your news? How do you stay informed? That's my question for you guys.
Gosh, it's hard too because I feel like, one thing is that I'm on TikTok, so I'll see stuff there, and it's like if it's something that I'm like, oh man, what's happening right now, then I'm going to go to Reddit or Google and try to find like because I don't want to just take something at face value because that has bitten me in the butt. Just like, oh, well, it was on TikTok, and it's like, okay, but was that a trusted source?
Yeah.
Was that the official news outlet page?
Yeah.
Was that AI?
I mean, yeah, that's actually a danger now too to the going on. So I think for me, it's like, okay, I hear the story via TikTok or Facebook, and now I need to go. Okay, let me go and find other outlets. Let me get everything that I can. Let me absorb everything that I can.
Got you. Okay.
And again, it's rough.
Got you. What type of stories make you go down that rabbit hole? Is it just whatever piques your interest, whatever is like
policy changes and stuff like that for sure. Like if I see something that's like, hey, this law is being reviewed, I'm like, okay, let me go see what's being reviewed. Also, because I wanted to be a police officer, if there's any like crime cases, I'm like, let me look into this. Let me look into seeing like, it's he said, she said. I'm like, I want to explore that a little bit more as well.
Gotcha.
So yeah, those as of now, it tends to be a lot more of like, this law is looking to be revoked. Let me read this law really quick. Let me see what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Interesting. I mean, and the whole TikTok piece of it, I think that's sort of a blessing and a curse because I think it definitely helps people who wouldn't be exposed to current events or news stories or policies or politics. I do think it helps them, helps their exposure to that because, it's if I never read the newspaper, then at least now I'm on TikTok where I can be at least alerted to these things.
One thing or another.
But I do think the curse part of that coin is that if people, like you said, just take everything that they hear on TikTok as the truth without doing
Yeah.
any sort of follow-up research. Because, and I've talked about this with some younger people in there. That's what they do, right? They hear it on TikTok, they share it, it becomes the new hot thing, and then no one does research. No one is there to say, oh, this is actually true, or this may be true, but here are the other pieces to this of why this is the way it is. And I think that's where it becomes dangerous. But people will say, well, like, the news can lie too. The news can just make up stuff too. And it's like, yes and no. There is a such thing as journalistic integrity when you're looking at legitimate news sources.
Yeah.
So you can't just get on TV and say whatever you want. Like, a lot of people try to do that, but then you get called out on it very quickly, and then your credibility is shot, and then you're probably never going to be invited back on a news program to talk about something. So now you have to go to TikTok to spread your misinformation.
Yep.
So TikTok doesn't have that. Nobody's like,
regulating.
no fact check on TikTok. There is no journalistic integrity on TikTok. So yeah, I think that's sort of the balance that needs to be held. As someone who doesn't use TikTok, when I hear about young people specifically getting their information and their news strictly from TikTok, that's what worries me, is that, man, you guys just heard something and now you just accept that as truth without doing your own independent research on whether that's true or not. And when I say independent research, I'm not saying you need to go to like if there's a scientific study that comes out, and I'm not telling you to go do an experiment to find out if it's true or not. Yeah, I'm just telling you to make sure the sources that you're getting this information from are legitimate and credible.
And so
yeah.
I do see some, just like Matt, and it's like you scroll through TikTok and sometimes things can be taken out of context, right? But
absolutely,
that's where you need to start, is like, if you heard something, like, follow up on different resources. So,
yeah.
Like for me, I have a couple things that I end up doing. Thankfully, like, the Samsung phones got a new update. And we were talking about it off mic, but the Gemini kind of puts in news catered to what you're looking for, right? And I'll get alerts. I get at least 5 notifications of news a day. But my typical thing is to like follow up on CNN, and then that the 5 articles that I get, because it's catered to like my interests and what hot topics. But I also go back to like a different social media platform. So like Instagram, they have those posts where like there's a couple of reliable resources that cite their information, citations and all that. And one of them is called like so.informed. Well, they'll do a weekly recap of what's been happening out in the world. And then they'll, with that, I'll kind of follow up on my own back to CNN. And then I do, just because I want to make sure that like I'm getting it right, I'll follow up on like the not so, or maybe the controversial or opposite viewpoints of Fox.
Yeah, that's gonna be my question. Was like why CNN? But yeah, it's, you're more, I guess, left leaning.
I am a little bit left leaning.
Right.
Yeah. But I also balance it out with like making sure like I try and get from different resources. Yeah. Which is why Fox, like, I see it on CNN. What's Fox say? What's the New York?
And then you just balance it out. You're like, okay, CNN saying this and Fox is saying that. Then the truth is probably somewhere.
There's some truth. There's some viewpoint that they're trying to get me to side one or the other, and then I have to go and figure out.
In an ideal world, they would both be reporting the news the same, but they're not, obviously. But it's like, you have to. They should at least be reporting the information the same, and then throwing their own biased spin on it one way or another. Like, and then when they discuss it, when they have their pundits on to talk about it, but the news is the news. Like, the facts are the facts. There shouldn't be conflicting facts depending on what side of the spectrum that you're on.
And what ends up happening is like, this event happened, right? The news. This is why it happened. Oh no, this is why it happened.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Trying to land in the middle.
Yeah, I think that's always the hard thing, is like, you definitely don't just want to have one access to news. You got to have multiple outlets. You got to make sure, because again, you just never know who's, you need to get all the facts as much as you can.
Yeah. I used to be somebody who relied heavily on CNN. because I'm like I've said this on the podcast before, but I'm like pretty much as left as you can get. Like I'm as liberal as they come. So like I used to. Yeah, CNN used to be my go-to for all of my news and politics and policy and everything. I've moved to NPR more recently though, and I say more recently, probably since like right after the pandemic, I moved over to NPR just because it was a little. I didn't have to weed through so much bullshit like I did with CNN. Sometimes you have to get through so much, like, and I don't mean bullshit in the way of like what they're saying is untrue, but there's a lot of opinion wrapped in what they're saying, and it's like, man, I just want to know the facts. Can someone just deliver me the facts? Like, I just want to. And it was when I was trying to stay informed on the pandemic and things, and it was like, man, on one side you got people talking about how, like, you know, we need to do XYZ, the other people are talking about how this is all fake, you know, and it's just like, I just wanted someone to say, hey, here are the numbers, like, this is how many people were, you know, hospitalized from COVID today. And it was like, I couldn't find that anywhere but NPR, and that's when I really started to dig into NPR. And so yeah, it's part of my morning routine. Like I listen to the Up First podcast on Spotify. It's by NPR, and it's a 15-minute show, and they just go through like 2 or 3 of the biggest news stories of the day. And yeah, from there, like I used to listen to The Daily, which is an NPR daily podcast. I do still sometimes listen to The Daily, or sorry, not NPR, New York Times. I do still sometimes listen to The Daily. It's just that The Daily is more of, it's like a 30-minute podcast, and it's like generally about one big topic that they're talking about for the day. So it's less like all encompassing and more like, hey, we're going to pick this one topic and we're going to just delve into it for the next half hour. So if it's a topic that I'm interested in or I care about, I'll listen to it, but sometimes it's not, so I don't. And then, yeah, from there, like, that's like one of the first things I do in the morning if I wake up early enough, or I'll get to it throughout the rest of the day. The first app I open up on my phone though is always the New York Times app, just so I can do a quick browse of the headlines. Most of the time I'm still in bed, so I'll do a quick browse of all the headlines, make sure there's nothing crazy, you know. Well, there's always something crazy going on, but yeah, you know, making sure, like, you know, the World War III didn't pop off overnight.
Making sure you have to work instead of
yeah, it's like when you wake up early as a kid to check if there was a snow day. I know you guys can't relate to that, but
no. We had heat days. You still had to go to school.
Yeah, turn on the TV and wait for your school name to be called out.
Yeah, that's what we used to do. Put on the radio, listen. I'm old, so we used to listen to the radio, and they would go through all of the schools that were closed or on a 2-hour delay, because they would have to clear the streets of snow. So you would start school 2 hours later because the school buses couldn't get to the neighborhoods.
I know we're talking about news and all that stuff, but really quick, because again, you got the benefit of snow days. I watched that movie. I was like, that's real. My question though was, when everything went to like online schooling, did that like break your heart to the degree of like, dang, those kids will never know what it's like to hear snow day? It's like, oh man, no school.
No, that just means we got Zoom class.
Yep.
That's crazy. I mean, it's good because snow days, with the dark side of snow days, if you will, is that you had to make up those days at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So it's
did you really?
Yeah. So it's not like
never mind.
You just never had to go back to school.
Summer break was shorter.
Yeah. And most schools, at least when I was in school, have built-in snow days at the end of the year. So they would say, all right, we're setting aside 5 days, you know, for snow days. And then if we don't have any snow days throughout the year, you guys just get out 5 days earlier.
Wow.
So it balanced itself out. But
that sucks.
Yeah. But it was still nice getting a break in the middle of the week. That unexpected break in the middle of the week is always nice. You know, it's like, I'll deal with the days at the end of the year if I can get a random Thursday off and sleep in. But anyway,
lucky.
Yeah. So that's how I get my news. Is, like I said, I wake up, check New York Times app, and then throughout the day I'll listen to Up First and The Daily. I can't do the 24 hours news anymore. It's so depressing to me. Like I'll watch clips maybe, but yeah, like I just can't do it. Like it's just so meandering. It's just so depressing. And it's just, again, it just seems like if you're watching something like CNN, they're just trying to, like, you know, villainize the right. And if you're watching something like Fox News, they're just trying to villainize the left, and it's just like I'm not here for the like biased delivery of these stories. Again, I just want the facts. Like, I know where I stand politically. I don't need you over here to tell me why I'm justified in this, or I don't need you on the other side telling me how wrong I am. You know, it's like I'm 35 years old. I know where I stand, and I can be biased on my own without having someone else tell me to be biased.
I did want to ask, so I used to listen to NPR on the drive to work and from work, and I found myself I actually listened on the radio, right? So a lot of the times, I had weird hours and the same segments would come on, and so I'm like, oh, I'm hearing this over and over again, so I just kind of stopped.
Sure.
But I didn't know they had podcasts. So when they have new events happen, do they just drop a new episode, or is it a daily sort of thing?
Yeah,
so
no, Upburst is literally just
first thing in the morning.
Yeah, just like all their tagline is all the news you need to start your day.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so if something were to happen, 4:36 in the middle of the day, is there any way that you get that sort of news update?
Is a ping?
The New York Times app.
Okay.
Yeah, I check it throughout the day.
But they don't have any sort of.
I'm sure they do. I don't have their I don't know if they have
catalog.
An app. But because it's nonprofit, so I don't know how much they
invest, or they can
invest in something like that. But
that's interesting. I might have to drop into those podcasts.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend Up First, because like I said, it's just the news as it is. I don't think it swings one way or the other. I think they just deliver the news. So if you're looking for a quick way to get your news in the morning, I think Up First is a great. Again, it's 15 minutes. If I don't get to it before I get out of bed, then I get to it just I'm early in the morning, before I actually start work, or on one of my breaks, or on my lunch, so and it just gives you a little bit more, because as much as I do love the New York Times app, I don't have tons of time to read articles as much as I want. When I say I look at the New York Times app, I'm literally probably scrolling through headlines, and if I see something that I need to dig into more, I'll open the article and read through it. But I'm just trying to stay informed. I'm just trying to stay up to date, and I'm just trying to stay current. So, but yeah, I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit to see and hear how you guys, if you guys think that it's. I guess that's the last question I'll ask before we close this out. Do you guys think, and I mean, try to answer this truthfully, I always, we should be answering everything truthfully, but do you guys think it's important, or how important is it to keep up with current events? Does it depend on how old you are? Does it depend on, what you're doing in life? Should everybody keep up with current events? On a sliding scale, how important is it for you specifically to keep up on current events?
I could do better. I mean, is it important? I think where it is now, with kind of the state of everything, it should be high, maybe higher. But do I? No, I'm not the best at it.
Yeah.
It needs to be something on TikTok that immediately catches my eye, and I don't scroll past it.
Okay.
For me to be like, oh, okay, wait, let me go look into this a little bit more. But if it doesn't, I'm pretty bad at just going about my day.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, most of it probably isn't going to have a direct effect on you, for the most part. Yeah, Luis, what about you?
It's more important now than ever before.
Okay.
And in the last 6 months, I've found myself going into it more and more. And there was a part back in the end of the year where I was talking to some people, and they were like, just everything is just so depressing. And so I need to cut away from it.
Yeah.
And I get that mentality, of having to damn, why is the world so messed up right now? Why is my world around me, or why are all these bad things happening?
Yeah.
Let me just cut off from them. But that stuff doesn't stop, and it doesn't get better without us being informed. And so, the reason why I have those articles now, and I check it in anything that pops up, is because it does directly affect me, right? And in my position where I am, and it affects those people that I work with, that I live with. And so I want to, if there's any good change, or if there's things, I want to make sure that I'm informed and I can speak on to this is happening, how can we support, or this is happening, I need to be careful about doing this or that. There was some great news this week in the news. You guys should go and dive into that a little bit more, but birth rates, right?
You said what?
Birth rates.
Birth rates.
Right. So
You wanna
there were a
expand a
couple.
little bit?
Well, and so the Supreme Court has been putting in some overtime in certain cases, and like there were some stops and stalls, but the biggest thing is like, when you're born here in the U.S., you are a natural citizen, right? You're a citizen. But there was some back and forth.
Oh, you're talking about
Yeah.
Trump was trying to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's been some good stuff happening as of late, but that's because people have been staying informed and voicing and putting it on TikTok, and making people more aware of what's going on. And now it can't, like before, legislature, let me try and slide this piece, that piece in, and pass it. But I've seen more of things come to light, forward.
Not to be a negative Nancy or anything, but do you think like with something, because when something goes to the Supreme Court, which is it's a conservative Supreme Court right now, like do you think that does, like, you think outside voices and opinions do have an effect on what the Supreme Court does or decides on?
Do I think they get influenced by outside voices?
Because by the letter of the law, they shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
They're
Absolutely not.
there to uphold the Constitution.
Yeah, and I think sort of like we were talking about the Pope. We brought up that a while back, and I think that there are people who have done the work, who have were put into certain roles, and they have a responsibility to make sure that they stay on course with what their role is supposed to be, right? So with the Supreme Court, they are not supposed to be influenced one way or another. And I think they hold that, and you talked about it, right? Journalistic integrity. There is some integrity to the rules. There's supposed to be policies that police follow too, right? In that role, you have that responsibility. And I think the Supreme Court really, really has to think about it, and they do. They put in the work. So like the influence isn't as much as if it were you've known this one person this entire time, or in this one role, so I'm going to side with them. No, like they have that ability to pull the bias and say, these are the facts, this is the Constitution, these are the rules. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
What's the right thing to do?
Yeah, like
And
all they're legally supposed to do is say, is this constitutional?
Yeah.
And if it is, then it's upheld, and if it's not, then it's reversed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think in that sense, like, yeah, it gets controversial to how certain people were put into the role, but when it comes down to it, like, you're the last line of defense for on the Constitution. So
the reason I asked that is just because I do agree that the more eyes on it, the better. But I'm just like, in a perfect world, in an ideal world, if something came before the Supreme Court that was unconstitutional, regardless of what public opinion was on this or not, the result would be the same.
Yes,
and
to the sense, I think a majority of it has been that they do uphold the Constitution currently.
Yeah, which we can get into that on a later date, but the Constitution is something that probably needs to be
amended,
re-looked at. Because it's a while over. I know there are amendments and things like that, but like it's
amendments.
Yeah, it's crazy that we. Yeah. Anyway. We're gonna do, as promised, an album review for you guys. So, Luis, it was your choice. You got. It was
my choice. I got to pick.
Yeah.
I picked something I normally don't pick.
Okay.
I picked "Hurry Up Tomorrow" by The Weeknd.
Weeknd.
And I picked this because it kind of tied into like what I do and other segments that we do. Right? It had a movie that came out along with the album.
So let's get before we get to the movie and how that may or may not have affected your opinion on the album. Let's get your thoughts and our thoughts if we've listened to it on the album itself.
So first take, I've listened to The Weeknd before, and I was like, this is just another Weeknd album.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
For me, it's the same tone. He's got the same message, and like if you dive into the lyrics, if you dive into the meaning, like this isn't my cup of tea. It's got a fun beat. He knows how to put the music into it and different, but it's the same style. And so I was like, I'm listening to another music album of The Weeknd, and a lot of his topics are love and influences and, let's say it, drugs, right? Mm-hmm. So like so how I took it is like, oh, this is just another Weeknd album. And I'll be honest with you, it's an hour and a half long, and I had to go back to it. I was like, no, this isn't my vibe. He's got interesting messages, but I'm going to go do something else. And then I came back, and I'm going to do something else. It was a little too long for an album.
For you to just sit through and for a single listening session, a jam session, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. So not my cup of tea. Did you guys get a chance to listen to it? And
Gotcha. I did. Yeah, and I can't say that I'm a fan of The Weeknd. I don't know if I've ever listened to a full project from him before. Like, I've listened to songs. There's definitely Weeknd songs that I've listened to and enjoyed. There's definitely Weeknd songs that I've listened to and haven't really cared for, and there are songs that I just don't like. Mm-hmm. But I can't say that I'm a fan of him. I don't actively dislike him. He's just kind of not really on my radar. Doesn't get a lot of play on my Spotify. Yeah, again, there's some songs I really like. Starboy, for example.
Great song.
Yeah. When I listened to this album, first of all, the length of it did sort of,
put you off.
Was notable, to put it politely. When I saw it, I was like, God damn, an hour and 30 minutes. And that's crazy too, because I mean, a lot of albums used to be that long. Yeah. Nowadays, most artists put out 45 minutes.
51.
Yeah. So no, when I saw the length, I was like, okay, that's a long album, so I'm gonna have to commit to this. So I listened to it. I've listened to it a couple of times. I've never really been like you mentioned. I've never really been a fan of the sort of lyrical content of his music, because it is sort of all about drugs and that sort of lifestyle, and not necessarily glamorizing it, but he's just telling his experiences. He's just telling his story, and if drugs play a role in your life, don't try to hide it, embrace it. So I get it, I understand it. It's not like he's telling kids to go do drugs. He's just sharing his experiences with drugs, right? So I've never really been a fan of the lyrical content of the music, especially because he flirts with that line of being sort of, it's like hip hop, but it's pop, but it's R&B, it's dancey, it's like it's a sort of amalgamation of many different genres, and I think that's why people like him, because it's different.
I mean, I like that style of music. Like a lot of stuff I send to you ends up being somewhere along that line. Yeah,
very similar stuff. So I just, it's never really been my cup of tea. So again, I've never really sat down and listened to a full project from him. I will say though that I did enjoy this one. Like, I think sonically speaking, it's very good. One thing that didn't stand out to me was the transitions, which I think are dope. Like how one song bleeds into the next. It's like,
I love that.
Crazy good. Like it's maybe some of the best that I've ever heard. And again, not all the songs I liked, but just the level of care and attention that was put into how the song transitions into one another was really good. He does also a really good job, in my opinion, of being like, he can switch tempos very easily and very seamlessly. Like, he'll go from something really bouncy, really up tempo, to something that's a lot more like melodic and and slow, and it blends very well together. Like,
and he does that in the songs.
Yeah, he does
too,
that in the song. He does that between songs. So you really feel like it just really feels like a very cohesive project, musically, sonically speaking. Like everything just blends very well together. So I appreciate that, and it sounds good. Like I just like the way it sounds. Some of the songs are a little more like they flirt with that techno line almost a little bit, that dancey stuff that I'm not really into. So when those moments come through, it kind of took me out of it a little bit. But I think overall, yeah, it's a really nice sounding album. Like it's not going to be like a top 5 album for me or anything, but I think it's a good album. Like I would honestly say that it's something I would go back to. There's a couple songs that I really enjoy, and yeah, I think it's a good album. Like I didn't have any issues with it musically or sonically. Lyrically,
yes,
not really my bag, but sonically and musically, I enjoyed it a lot.
I did not get a chance to listen to this, but I am a really big fan of The Weeknd. Like I loved Dawn FM, and even After Hours, because I like that he gets that that he is kind of like a virtuoso of like what he goes between like I mean, I know you can categorize him as hip hop, but I like that he's able to dance around that, and there's all these different avenues that his music ends up having.
I agree.
Having so I'm excited to listen to this, and I'm excited to find out what songs that you liked, Adonis. But I tend to like his music, even though I know like sometimes it is like sex, drugs, and alcohol. But I think like if I can dance to it, I'm gonna dance to it. So that's what ends up getting me to like a lot of his music is. I find myself just Starboy. I loved jamming out to Starboy.
Yeah.
But that's me.
I forget you're in your party boy phase right now, so
I can't really say party boy phase. I just go out to a bar, I drink some beer, and then I sing or I dance and I get out.
That sounds like party boy, a little bit.
I mean, I'm not doing anything crazy.
No, I'm not saying party.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, you like to have a good time.
I do like to have a good time.
Yeah.
And The Weeknd helps me have a good time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, for you, Luis, what was it more so that you weren't enjoying? Was it just that like did you want him to stay more on the hip hop side? You didn't like that he was dancing around? Not kind of in and out of hip hop, or was it more so just the lyrics being the drugs?
Yeah, the lyrics.
Okay.
Lyrics. And so it's funny I say that because like Adonis has picked at me for like some of your music taste isn't very lyrical. Like if you think and you go back and you break it down like Fall Out Boy, some of the lyrics don't make sense. They don't. I get it.
Yeah.
But the musicality is there, and with this is like it's so focused on these lyrics over and over and over again in different lights that I'm just like I'm burnt out of the fact that like how many times can we talk about cocaine in a song?
How many times can Pete Wentz sing not sing for Fall Out Boy?
He doesn't sing.
Yeah. Now he gets that right now.
Yeah. Oh. Now you want to correct me.
Now I do want to correct
5
you.
episodes in, you should have corrected me the first one. But so yeah, and it's my own gripe, right? I see myself in a certain light, and I like this person is putting out music and it's good music, and going back to like what I watched was the movie Hurry Up Tomorrow. So there's some messaging behind that. I'm interested to see where you're going with this. You have a lot of talent. You said it yourself. You've shown it. Other people have said it. You do have a lot of talent. And I'm gonna tell you, like, it is hard to sing in the way that he sings, like his style of voice. So I get it. But what more can you do? And then it's just me and myself and expecting the people to do more.
That's an interesting point that you bring up, because I've I don't want to say struggled with that, but I've had to come to terms with that myself over the years, is that what you sort of want or maybe even expect, if we want to throw that word out there, from an artist, it's not what the artist needs or has to do.
Yeah.
Like if you think that he's talented and that he should be talking about other things, that's cool and all, but he can talk and do
Pretty
whatever
much
he
whatever
wants
he
to do.
wants. Yeah.
So like
And-
you can't. I think it's unfair. And again, I've had to tell myself this several times. It's unfair to judge an artist on what you think they should be doing versus what they're actually putting out. So like if I were to say I didn't like this album because musically it's bad and like it just has these issues, that's different than saying I didn't like this album because he didn't talk about what I think he should have talked about. But it's like Abel never said I'm going to talk about
No.
more serious or
Yeah.
well,
Well, but and like it goes to like again some of these songs. There's a reference. It's especially the last song is like "Hurry Up Tomorrow." Like musically, lyrically, like it's a new light for him, which is great. But some of the other ones, like I guess I have to respect him in the fact that like he is his whole person and he's put it out there.
Yeah.
And even in the movie, as bad as some of the acting was, it was still one of those like this is I can't get any more transparent than this.
Yeah, I think the movie is interesting because it's been getting shit on pretty heavily online, and it is interesting because I do know the album when it originally came out was getting a lot of praise and a lot of people were high on it. But I've seen that sort of fall a little bit, and I wonder if people are
Watching it,
conflicting,
yeah,
or
me
not
too.
conflicting, but they're just not able to separate one from the other. So it's like now the album is taking some hits critically, but yeah, I do think that it's The Weeknd, right? And like that would also be a question for me. Like you've listened to The Weeknd before, you know what he talks about. Like where you were hoping that it was something different this time around, or
I sort of was, and I wanted. I mean, in the same sense, like that energy.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm blanking on the song title, but the one he did for the Super Bowl, I Can't Feel My Face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
After Hours, I think.
It's one of my favorite songs from him, and it's fun. And then I read into it some more, and I'm like, shit.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to read too deep into
No,
that
no,
one, man. It's called I Can't.
Yeah.
He's not cold.
No. But over and over again, I've gotten that fatigue, just like how
Fair
you've
enough.
gotten with,
Yeah.
But
But I think that can mean that you've just outgrown his music. I don't necessarily think his music needs to grow up.
his lyrics need to grow up.
No, I mean,
that's
he's always
the
been a
story.
sad
Yeah,
boy.
that's what he wants to do. Like I personally, I think music is better when it evolves with the artist, but I don't think that's not a
It's
requirement.
not a requirement.
Yeah,
No,
like,
and like I said, like musically put together,
like
it's
what?
great.
Like not to. What has Fall Out Boy been doing the last?
Every single album is different. Yes, it's sad boy music, but it's all different. You can't put one to play into the next to play
Yeah,
into the other.
But sometimes you find your niche and you just rock with that. I mean, for the longest time, Taylor Swift was the breakup artist for girls,
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And nobody questioned her on that. And now she's done all of the stuff that she's done, and she's gotten away from that. Hey, his niche is to be the sad boy who does drugs and and I'm not gonna quantify it down just to that, but I think that's you find your niche, rock with it.
Yeah.
That's what's getting you money, and that's what you care
the
about.
thing.
That's what you care about.
Yeah.
You made a good point though that like people, it's starting to go down on either way, and I'm interested again. I'm very very interested to see what his next steps are going to be, or if he has next steps. And it could be a point where he's like, all right, I'm going to take a break and do something else or have another project.
That is going to do it for us this week, guys. Thanks for hanging out. As always, we appreciate you rocking with us. If you need to listen, in a different format, you can find us on pretty much any streaming platform outside of Apple. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Amazon Music. We're on YouTube Music. We're on Spotify. That's my daughter. You can find us on all of those platforms at Speakeasy or Drink Easy, Speakeasy. Luis, where can they find us on the socials?
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, along with Blue Sky.
It's all at Drink Easy, Speak Easy. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and we will catch you next time. Until then, my name is Adonis.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Luis.
All right, see you guys later.
Bye.